Hi everyone, welcome back to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Adam.
And we're on day 3 of our story article for this month, Edgar Allan Poe's The Black Cat. So let's remind you of what's going on. We started our story and the writer or speaker told us it was going to be a terrible story.
Yes, he's done something bad and will die tomorrow because of what has happened.
He needs to tell everybody about it, kind of get it off his chest, relieve himself of the burden. And he starts the story, and at the start, he seems very nice.
Yeah, he does. He loves animals and looking after animals. And this continues as the man grew up. He married when he was young, and his wife loved animals as well.
That's right. They got this beautiful, lovely black cat called Pluto. But then the man started having problems, and these problems involved him drinking too much alcohol.
Yeah, at first he hurt other animals, but not his beloved cat Pluto. He also made his wife's life miserable.
Now then, we see one day he got really angry after his cat bit him, and he started to have thoughts about killing the cat.
Oh no, eventually he did, and it made him feel good. And he got a good night's sleep.
Then, however, things started to change. We saw at the end of day 2, something changed, something unexpected happened. What is it? Let's read day 3 and find out.
Reading. The Black Cat. I was woken by flames and smoke, and our house soon burned down. My wife and I lost everything, and we were forced to live in a damp old basement. One night I found another cat, black like Pluto. I brought it home and I loved it for a while. Then, just as with Pluto, I started to hate it. I took up an axe to kill it. But my wife grabbed my arm, and in my rage, I killed her instead. I hid her body in one of the basement walls. I slept well, especially because the cat seemed to have gone. One day, the police came looking for my wife. I invited them in, but they found nothing. Then, as they were leaving, I banged on one of the walls right where my wife lay. To my horror, we heard the cat from behind the bricks. The police officers dug at the wall and found my wife with the cat upon her head. There is no doubt that the horrible cat sentenced me to death.
So the article begins right in the middle of this unexpected, surprising event. It says, I was woken by flames and smoke, and our house soon burned down.
Oh no.
Big disaster, okay? So here we say he was woken by flames and smoke. Of course, smoke is the grey or black stuff that comes up when something's burning. It gets in your mouth and makes you choke. The flames, when we say flames, we mean the hot, light parts of a fire. Not the stuff that's burning, not the smoke that comes off it, but the red, orange, yellow, or sometimes even other colors of stuff that's in the air. It's what we think of when we say fire. We mean the red hot part. So you might say, for example, the flames of the candles went out when the young girl blew them.
Oh, okay. Then we also see in this sentence, burn down. And that is a phrasal verb. It means to burn down something, means to completely destroy it with fire. You don't want to burn your house to burn down. No. Unfortunately, the character's house burned down after he woke up from sleeping. So that maybe plays a big role into his anger management problems.
Yeah, and the other issues that he's having.
For an example, you could say, my sister's husband burned down their house accidentally after throwing a firecracker under the house.
Oh dear.
True story.
Yeah, oh wow. If you've read the news over last summer, there was fire and hot. Europe was very hot and dry. A lot of things did burn down because there was no water. So back to the story, and we see the man, his house is burned down. He adds in this next part of the article, my wife and I lost everything, and we were forced to live in a damp, old basement. So they, not just their house, they would have lost furniture, they would have lost their clothes, their money. They can't go and live anywhere else, so they had to live in this old basement underneath somebody else's house, and it was damp. Let's look at what that word means. So when we describe something as damp, we mean it's wet, but it's not like covered completely in water. A damp towel would be when you touch it and go, oh, that's a little bit wet. Maybe I'll hang it up. When you've washed your clothes in the machine after they've done spinning, the clothes will be damp. They'll not be full of water you need to squeeze out, but they'll be a little wet. You'll still need to hang them up or put them in the dryer, something like that. Now, we often use damp to mean in an unhealthy sense. If we talk about damp as a noun, not an adjective, we're describing the situation when parts of a room or a house get wet, and this causes nasty things like mold to grow, the green stuff and the black stuff on the walls in bathrooms and stuff. That happens because bathrooms get damp. They're a little wet, not super wet, but just wet enough to help things grow. So they had to live not in a house, but this damp basement.
Oh, and there we see the word basement, which is a noun. It is the part of the house or building that is underground. A lot of times a basement does not have any windows. So then you will know you're in the basement. An example sentence we can use is, my brother has a lot of toys stored in the basement.
Yeah, I never had a basement in the house that I grew up in. There just wasn't one there. Did you have one?
Yes, we had a basement, and when they first built the house, it's pretty damp, like you said.
Yeah.
But then after a while, a lot of people will put carpet in there and design it and make it a whole nother room.
Cool.
To live or to use as a play area.
Yeah, that's a good kind of thing. In Taipei, you find a lot of basements are the parking garages, of course.
That's correct, yeah.
All right, so let's get back to the article. We see, one night, I found another cat, black like Pluto. So the man is, maybe this incident with the fire, he's trying to recover a little. He's trying to kind of get back on the right track. He misses Pluto maybe after what he did. So he finds another cat that's just the same color.
And then the article continues by saying, I brought it home and I loved it for a while. Important ending there, for a while. He doesn't say, I loved it and we lived happily ever after. Right.
He just said, for a while, for a short time. And the article continues, then, just as with Pluto, I started to hate it. So here we're using this phrase, just as. And we often follow just as with, because it means in the same way as. We use it to mean the same thing happened in this case too. So just as with Pluto, I started to hate Pluto, now I started to hate this new cat. Another way we could say this instead of just as is just like. Just like with Pluto, I started to hate this cat.
Oh, okay. So just like my mother, I love to clean.
Yeah, that would be one.
Okay. Our article continues by saying, I took up an axe to kill it.
Oh my goodness.
Uh-oh.
It is a horrifying story.
It's a scary one. Here we go. We see the word axe here. An axe is a noun. It's a tool with a handle and a sharp blade at the end. Usually an axe is used for cutting down small trees. I remember using an axe back in my backyard, cutting down trees, getting away a lot of the brush and bushes.
Stuff that was there.
Right.
I used an axe a lot growing up because my parents had a wood fire in their house. So I wouldn't cut down the tree, but we'd get some old logs, old bits of wood, and we'd cut them up with axes into smaller bits. Now you'll notice it's spelled AX here. You'll often read it spelled AXE. Both spellings are completely fine. So the man grabs his axe, he takes it up, which means he picks it up in the air, he goes to kill it. The article says, but my wife grabbed my arm And in my rage, I killed her instead.
Oh no.
So he's so angry, he's going crazy due to what's happened. He's probably feeling actual guilt for killing Pluto and what's happening in his life. But he's now feeling rage. Rage is extreme anger. It's not just normal anger. It's not being irritated like we looked at before. It's that crazy anger that makes people blind. It makes it so you can't control them. And that's when people do the really crazy, horrible things, such as in this case, killing his wife. So he didn't kill a cat, he killed his wife instead.
Oh man, it is getting more and more scary as we continue. In that sentence, we see the word instead, and this is used as an adverb, alternatively, or we would say rather than. So I could go ahead and say, since we don't have any tape, we will have to use glue instead.
Right, it's kind of not this thing, but we'll do that thing.
Exactly.
Okay. So the man has now killed his wife, okay? So with killing a cat, he would maybe get in some trouble.
Yes.
Killing a person, that is big trouble. We can guess this is the big crime he was talking about. So what does he do when he realizes? The article says, I hid her body in one of the basement walls. This is pretty grim, but also if you read a lot of Edgar Allan Poe stories, there's a surprising number of people who hide bodies in the walls and under the floor. It does seem to happen quite a lot in his stories.
Oh wow, well as terrifying as this gets, we get back to the article and it says, after he did this, he hid the body. The article says, I slept well, especially because the cat seemed to have gone.
This guy's a bit disturbed if he can kill his wife and then, oh, now I can have a nice night's sleep.
Exactly. And in that last sentence, we notice the word seem to plus verb. So it's to look like something or appear to be a certain way. So what could we say? My teacher seemed to be in a good mood today. Maybe she won't give us homework. So she seemed to be in a state of mind, in a good mood. You could also say, my parents seemed to be happy with me because I got 100 on my test and now they will take me to go get ice cream. It seemed to be that they were happy. So in this, he seemed to be relaxed after killing his wife and seeing the cat no more.
Right, our man is happy. His cat, this new cat, doesn't seem to be there. He can sleep well. But of course, we know in the end he does get caught, or that's what we're guessing. The article says, one day the police came looking for my wife.
Oh, and then it goes on to continue by saying, I invited them in, but they found nothing.
Right, she's locked up behind the wall.
Right, can't see her. So we have the word invite somebody in is a phrasal verb. It's to have someone or something come into your place or into a place. Usually it's your place. I could go ahead and basically say, I usually invite my friends to my house to watch baseball games.
Yeah, you'd invite them in when they arrive. Just say, come on in, come on.
Yeah, don't need to knock on the door. Oh, I see you. Let's come on in.
Take a seat, that kind of thing. So when the police came, instead of saying, no, she's not here, go away, then he says, yes, please, come into my damp basement. And
look around.
Yeah. So we see in the article, then, as they were leaving, I banged on one of the walls right where my wife lay. That's an interesting idea. Why has he done this? Well, first let's look at the word bang. Bang is being used as a verb here, and it means to hit something hard so that it makes a noise that sounds a bit like bang. Okay, we often use words like bang or crash because they make a noise and the word sort of looks like the noise they make. There is a word for it, onomatopoeia. Don't worry about learning that. Just think of a bang, like bang into something, that sort of stuff. You might say, I had to stop my car quickly so I didn't bang into the scooter in front of me. So for some reason, the man has banged right on the wall, almost like he's saying, yeah, my wife's behind there.
Yeah.
Now, why is he doing this? Is he kind of showing off that he's tricked the police? Or is it he's kind of guilty and he wants to be caught?
Yes, maybe he wants to get it out there, or he, like you said, maybe he's confident in the fact that they won't find the body. So that brings us to what the article says next is, to my horror, we heard the cat from behind the bricks.
Oh my goodness.
It's pretty scary. And we see the word horror here in that sentence. And horror is a noun. It's a feeling a person has. It's fear, terror, or fright. And then we can also use the adjective of the word horror, which would be horrible, which is scary. The crime scene at the house was horrible. It can also turn us into extremely bad.
Right, another meaning.
Another meaning of that word horrible. So you could say the smell of stinky tofu is extremely bad or extremely horrible to me.
I kind of like it.
Really?
I do, anyway. So yeah, this cat, we've heard the cat from behind the bricks. So maybe when he was putting his wife's body in the wall, this other cat was in there as well. It's behind the bricks of the basement. A brick, of course, is just a kind of a square or rectangular, a regularly shaped building material. It's made from clay. You kind of make it into a long thing and you bake it in the oven. It's what's used to build a lot of houses. Nowadays, we've moved away from brick. It's harder to make. We use concrete and other things instead. But yeah, they're usually red, clay, kind of small, that big, that sort of stuff. So in a popular story, you might hear, the third little pig built his house of bricks and the big bad wolf couldn't blow it down. So we're in the basement. The man's banged on the wall and then meow. What happens next?
As the article continues to say, the police officers dug at the wall and found my wife with the cat upon her head.
Oh my goodness.
What is the cat doing on the head?
Well, we see in the article, this is the man's opinion, there is no doubt that the horrible cat sentenced me to death. So the man is blaming the cat, saying, the cat did it. I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for that cat. Let's now take a look at today's language in focus.
So we have today in today's language in focus, there's no doubt that. And it means there's no question about it. Whatever it is certain. Our sentence structures is there's no doubt that plus a noun and then clause. So we can use an example sentence, there's no doubt that the killer will spend the rest of his life in prison. In the article, there is no doubt that the horrible cat sentenced me to death. So there's no question that the cat purposely got me in trouble and made me kill my wife.
Okay, so the man describes the cat as this horrible cat, and of course you mentioned horrible. It's really bad, it's nasty, it's a bit scary. And a question for you then, do you think that they're the same cat? Is this like Pluto's ghost kind of come back to, have revenge? The man kills Pluto, the first cat, and this cat is kind of like coming back to make sure he gets punished?
That is a good question. Does the author usually use ghosts or stuff like that in his writings?
Yeah, some of it is with Edgar Allan Poe, but some of it's often about the people and what they believe and how they're kind of going crazy. So there may not have even been another cat. It might all be in this guy's head. There's a lot of different ways you can read this story. Go ahead and check it out. Come up with your idea of what really happened. But that's all the time we have. We're going to go now to our final For You chat question.
For You chat.
So the question is, or it starts off with a sentence, by the end of the story, the main character has completely changed. What might have caused this to happen? So we can kind of speculate here. Why did this man go from being this lovely, kind animal lover to somebody who kills cats and his own wife in anger? What makes someone do that?
Well, let's look at some of the facts from the story. Maybe was it the first time that the cat scratched him? He got too angry, or maybe drinking
I think that
had a lot to play a part in it.
Yeah, absolutely, the drinking. We don't know. We don't really see anything about did he lose his job? Did something else go bad in his life? It could just be kind of society pressure. Sometimes people living in big cities under a lot of stress, it just really squeezes them, winds them up until they just sort of lose it. I guess with Edgar Allan Poe, if none of this happened, it wouldn't have been a story. He wouldn't have written it. So there's a phrase that's called narrative contrivance. If the man wasn't a bit crazy and this stuff didn't change him, there's no story. So something has to change him for the story to happen. But yeah, I think just the general pressures of life maybe just got on top of him and then he made it worse by drinking.
It seems like, today's day and age, even now with more and more technology, more pressure.
Yep.
So maybe you're right. The pressures of life got to this character.
Well, that's what we think. What do you guys think? Have a chat about it. Think about what the story is really saying and what might really have happened. But that's all the time we have. Thank you for watching, everybody. For English for You, I'm Pat.
And I'm Adam.
And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Flame. Jason ran through the hot flames of the burning house in order to save his cat. Basement. Those stairs lead down to the basement. It's a little dark down there. Instead. We planned a picnic in the park, but it rained, so we saw a movie instead. Seem. It seems that Edward is more independent after moving out to live by himself. Bang. The baby used a big spoon to bang on the pot and make a noise like a drum. Brick. The third little pig made his house out of strong bricks, so the big bad wolf couldn't blow it down.
智慧小补帖
Damp. Axe. Rage.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net